All right, we are back here on the Sports Exchange. I'm Scott Morganroth along with
Lucidio Weiss.
Lucidio Weiss. Glad to have you with us here on this Tuesday night. So with us in a moment will be David Levin, and Dave will be talking about the Jacksonville Jaguars.
So, yeah. I mean, me and Ryan spoke briefly. For those of you who didn't get to hear the first part, ran into a little bit of technical difficulties. Obviously, we spoke a little bit about the Tyreek Hill injury, and that led me to ask you this question, Scott. Look, Tyreek Hill is an integral part of that offense, and I know Sammy Watkins has found some newfound success over there in Kansas City, but if you watched that game last night, and as I was able to, Mahomes didn't look that great. I thought the Chargers defense did pretty well in the first half of that game, limiting Kansas City's attack. I think Mahomes was able to scramble for a 24-yard rush at one point in the first quarter. But, I mean, when I look at that team, and I don't know how healthy the ankle really is at this point, how big do you think the loss of Tyreek Hill would be on an offense like that? Obviously we know what Mahomes could do, but, LaShawn McCoy's not playing to his strengths right now, and Darrell Williams hasn't been that great for them out of the backfield. I mean, how much of a
They'll be huge.
Yeah,
they depend on them.
Yeah, I mean, they're one of the three teams I think you think of when you think of the three AFC competitors who can really challenge for the Super Bowl at this point. They're 7-4. I mean, I think if Mahomes is there, they had another win to that total. They're 8-3. But I think the status of his ankle, and hopefully, Hill's out there for Sunday for that next matchup because, not this Sunday. They're entering a bye week. I mean, he has time to get healthy, though. That's the biggest thing with him, Tyreek Hill. But yeah, I think the biggest thing for them too is that run game. That run game really has to pick up. We'll talk. I mean, we've seen New England have problems in the run game too, and it's been a reason why they've struggled despite their 9-1 record.
All right. Well, we welcome David Levin to the South Florida Tribune Broadcasting Network hotline, and thank you very much, David, for being on the program.
Hey guys, welcome. Thanks for having me back. I appreciate it.
Our pleasure. So, anyways, tell me what you got up in Jacksonville. Doesn't seem like it's very fun.
It's not fun. I promised I would not say over and over again. It's not fun, guys. The Jaguars are in a situation where the playoffs are almost an elimination. We're at a point where 4-6 really looks worse than it is, and there's plenty of things to discuss here in North Florida in terms of the regular season, what's going to happen in terms of the players and the record, what might happen with the coaching staff, what might happen with the front office, and how the next 6 games might affect the 2020 season. That about sums it up.
Okay. So, anyways, break down the coaching staff and what changes have to be made.
As I was watching the game on Sunday, I thought after the second drive of the game, when Nick Foles led them down the field, he threw the 34-yard touchdown pass to DJ Stark. I was thinking, okay, this offense can get going. Remember, guys, by the way, I picked them 34-7. I was completely wrong. I thought that the offense would get rolling. He looked systematic. He was able to move the ball down the field. He looked confident. He was able to hit his target. They got 7 points. Everything looked to be okay. And then the bottom fell out. And I think a few things happened. First of all, sorry?
Nothing. Go ahead. I'm listening.
No. Okay. I think a few things happened. First of all, they put too much emphasis on the passing game, where maybe offensive coordinator John DeFilippo got a new toy that he wanted to try out, and he forgot what the running game was. Second, there's a major hole in the defensive front when it comes to stopping the run. Marcel Darius' departure because of injury has really affected this team. The linebackers didn't tackle well when the running backs for the Colts got to the second level. And most of all, the Jaguars only ran the ball 9 times. That's the biggest thing. Foles threw 47 attempts, didn't go for 300 yards. And this was a complete failure from the coaching staff down to the 53rd player on the roster.
Yeah, I mean, I watched some of that game, David, and I was shocked to see that Fournette only had 8 carries for 23 yards the entire game. I mean, for somebody who is nearing a 1,000-yard season, have we seen this with Foles before? I remember in the Super Bowl a couple of years ago, there wasn't a lot of emphasis on the run game, though they did have Jay Ajayi, at that point he was healthy. And,
right.
Foles threw for nearly 400 yards that game. But has this been something that past history has shown us with Foles, when he was in Philadelphia and that brief stop in Kansas City where he doesn't put a lot of emphasis on the run game? I mean, he doesn't even really use it as a supplementary thing because Fournette, pretty much wasn't there on Sunday.
Let me say this. I'm going to keep Foles out of that conversation for a second, Lewis, because I'll throw another spin at you.
Mm-hmm.
John DeFilippo was the offensive coordinator in Minnesota for the first half of the season last year and was fired. One of the emphases of the firing, and one of the reasons was he abandoned the running game. He counted too much on Kirk Cousins and the pass receivers. He was asked about that in OTAs, and he did not want to dwell on it, but we had to ask it. So one of the local writers asked him about it, and he said, I'm going to run a balanced offense. Now, for the most part this year, he has. He's also had another quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Sunday was the first time that I've seen them completely abandon a running game that had to have tried to take some of the heat off of Foles. And I wonder whether it was just the idea of, gee, I've got my quarterback, he's going to come in, it's going to be fine, and we're going to get rolling, or, there's something else to it. Doug Marrone took the heat for it after the game, and he fell on the sword and said, it's my fault, it starts with me, I need to do better. I want to see DeFilippo take more responsibility for this lack of offensive output. By the same token, I want to see Todd Wash do the same thing.
Okay, that sounds... Yes, obviously, when you talk about the whole situation in general, okay, let's break down the quarterback situation. Give me reasons why Nick Foles shouldn't be benched.
No. It's an odd thing, and you have seen in the press box, you've seen the fans.
Right.
This is maybe one of the most fickle and frustrating fan bases in the NFL because, number one, they're starting for a winner.
Right.
They haven't had a lot of success in the last 20 years. The quarterbacks that we have had are mediocre at best, and they're tired of seeing the same offense run over and over and over again. It went from Jack Del Rio and 3 yards in a cloud of dust to the 1 year where right after Del Rio there was no success. Gus Bradley, it was we're going to get better. We're trying hard. The first 2 years of our rebuild didn't count. We had good running backs, but we didn't use them well. Our quarterback was terrible. They don't have established stars, besides maybe Maurice Jones-Drew and a couple of others, to say, okay, we could have used those as building blocks around them. Now the Jaguars actually do have building blocks. I'd like to see them be able to use them more, and they're not.
Okay. All right, so let's talk about some potential replacements for coaching staff moving forward.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about the staff itself. And let me back up just for a minute about Foles. Foles doesn't need to be benched. And I know that we had discussed before the show that there were polls in local websites and discussions and radio shows about who should be the starting quarterback. Foles is a veteran who, for the lack of a better word, was rustier than a nail on Sunday. 47 attempts, 298 yards, 2 touchdowns, and interception. He grossly underthrew receivers. He looked like he couldn't find his target. He looked a little bewildered at times. It's almost like he didn't have enough time to prepare, and that's the coaching staff fault. Gardner Minshew is a quarterback who can make things happen, but I'm not so sure that him being on the field on Sunday would have helped. Yeah, he may have extended some plays, and he may have, danced around a little bit, but there was no way that Jacksonville was winning this game from the start. I just want to make sure that I pointed that out before we go further.
Sure, that's okay. So, talking about Doug Marrone, well, that's okay. I have no problem with that. So, let's speak of Coach Marrone. You say his seat's going to get hotter.
Oh, I believe so. What we didn't discuss earlier, and I had thought about this after we talked, Scott, see, because you put something in my head. You make me think.
I generally do.
I do appreciate that.
Okay.
I think his seat is hotter, and I do think that if they don't win 5 games this year, if they only win 5 games, he makes a change at the end of the year. By contrast, though, he stuck with Gus Bradley for 4 years.
Right.
And that was awful football. I don't know whether it's because the roster is more established, there are better players on that roster, there is an established defensive presence. It all starts with the head coach and trickles down. That said, yes, his seat is hot. It was warm to begin with at the beginning of the season, and we knew it. He knew he had a short leash. Everybody knows he had a short leash. And he was 4-4, and we're thinking, okay, maybe he's coming out of this. And then they dropped 2 eggs, one in London and one last weekend. And you can almost see the wind just kind of like, it just came out of his, it was like a balloon that was deflated. It's like, I've lost these 2 games. I don't know if I can get this shit back. He's a great guy, and he says all the right things, and he takes the blame for everything. But I want to see more emotion from a coach. I wanted to call out his offensive and defensive coordinator and say, we didn't get the lack of production here, we need more. I'd like to see a little bit more fire in his belly. And I think that the front office may want that as well. So there is a strong possibility, I think, that they make a change at the end of the year. I know for sure that... Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Go ahead.
I know for sure that the natives around here are restless, and although he's a really nice guy, and we've talked about it when we're sitting together, how great Doug is, it's almost like it's the same guy every single week. We'd like to see a little more emotion.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've been in those press conferences. He definitely even killed a guy. You know, I don't know if there's anything that's really an exact science of how a coach is, whether it's even killed high-strung or, you know, because Tony Dungy wasn't very high-strung either, and it worked. So, you know, there's a lot of guys that are very low-keyed that, you know, show a calming effect. So, you know, I respect Doug Rohn. He's a really good man. He's not a bad coach. Is he a head coach? I don't know. He hasn't done that bad of a job, but this is a situation where, you know, if you have a guy that's low-key, do you go into a higher tempo coach? That's possible. Lewis, what do you want to add?
I mean, so say the inevitable, I mean, not inevitable, but say the untimely happens and, you know, Marone's fired after the season with only 1 season of Foles and Minshew to work with. David, in your estimation, does he get another job in some capacity with another NFL organization?
Yeah, as an offensive line coach.
Right, yeah, I don't think he'd get another head coaching job.
I don't know if he gets another head coaching job, honestly.
I don't think so either.
Like I've said, Scott knows he's preaching to the choir with me. I love Doug Lyle. He is every man. He is the guy that he is the next door neighbor that's mowing the lawn on Sunday, and you're stopping to talk and chit chat and drink a beer with afterward. And he's just very likable. I know that players want to play hard. I don't know how that translates because there are things that we don't see. You know, the inner workings of the coaching staff and the players. When Tom Coughlin was the head coach and started out with this team, he ruled with an iron fist, and he figured that maybe bullying or fear was the way to go, and they were successful. And at some point, he lost the locker room, and players didn't want to play for him. It was evident in New York, too, when he started, because it didn't, you know, Michael Strahan didn't want to have anything to do with him at first, because he had that same philosophy.
Okay, you have one other point you wanted to cover about the scenario about Marone and Dave Caldwell?
Well, I will, but let me finish up on that.
Sure.
If he is fired, there are a few candidates that I'd like to see them go after.
Okay.
I don't know if they fire him, they fire both coordinators. I see a scenario where Todd Wash is gone, and they have to find another defensive coordinator. But I would think that DeFilippo actually may stay. He's a young guy. He's 40. He does have a bright idea. He has a bright mind. He doesn't have the use of a tight end this year. We all know the issues we had at tight end. And he works well Foles. And if Foles is going to be here for 4 years, then might as well keep